Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And this is one of those stories you just quite enjoy, really. It creates a major headache for Humza Yousaf. It puts him in an impossible position. That's always a good place to have the likes of Yousaf, isn't it? Where he can't say anything. What can he do? He is stuck, quite literally, between a rock and a hard place. The people of Orkneys have had enough. They're being chronically underfunded by the Tory government in Westminster, and they're being chronically underfunded by the government in Edinburgh. And they've said, right, that's it, enough's enough. And they're going to have a big discussion over whether they should leave Scotland and become an independent country, or possibly become a dependency of Norway. They're looking at several options. We'll go through the options in the article. The problem for Humza Yousaf, of course, is he's busy saying that you cannot keep people in a union against their will, and people must have the right to self-determination. Is he then going to be a hypocrite and say, oh yeah, that only accounts for Scotland, but when the Orkneys want to leave, no, you're not allowed to leave. You're not allowed to have the right of self-determination. That makes him look like a massive hypocrite, although we already know he is. But the optics would be appalling. And of course, if he goes and moves to stop Orkneys leaving, his enemies will just use that as the example to keep Scotland in the Union. You can't have it both ways. It's quite delicious, really. Because, of course, the main problem with the Orkneys leaving isn't the fact that you're just going to lose a few little islands off the top there. It's what they take with them. The fishing grounds and the oil fields. Oh dear. Oh dear. What is he to do? He is well and truly royally screwed. Will he stand and say you can leave? Because he needs to do that in order for Scotland to have the right to leave? Or does he say, no, you can't leave, we need your oil? Oh, what it is to be Humza Yousaf on a day like this. It's absolutely wonderful, isn't it? Let's have a look at the article, see what's going on, and see why the people up in the Orkneys are rather upset and are looking at a change of regime. Here goes. So, Orksit? Orkney consider independence from Scotland due to being failed by the SNP government. This would utterly destroy Humza Yousaf and his bid for independence from the UK, because he's either going to have to give it to the Orkneys and lose the oil, or he's going to have to deny it to the Orkneys, and then it destroys any argument he has for independence from the UK. Oh, what tangled webs we weave when first we practice to deceive. Perhaps it may just be that they're looking for money, in which case that will be blackmail, and well done to them. Use your strengths. Anyway, the Orkney Islands Council leader, James Stocken, suggested that they could become part of Norway, but be self-governed, as he also pointed out that they have North Sea oil and wind projects which can be worth significant money to an independent Orkney. And they absolutely would, because they own that bit of sea. It's there, and that's when you got your oil fields in. They'll talk, thank you very much, we'll take that revenue. That's revenue not going in to Scotland. It's fantastic, isn't it? So Humza Yousaf could be facing his own Skexit troubles after it was revealed that the Orkney Islands is considering breaking away from Scotland due to the failings of the Scottish government. The council will be looking at proposals to change their status in the UK, or even becoming a self-governing territory of Norway. Norway would take them in with open arms and look at the oil. That's plain, isn't it? Council leader James Stocken blamed a lack of funding coming from both mainland governments as the reason behind these shock plans. He said that the islands were being failed dreadfully by the SNP and Tory administrations. Now, saying this, he may actually have no serious intent of doing it at all, but it would, of course, mean that the parties would be rushing to make investment in the Orkneys in order to sweeten the voters and keep them happy, because they need the oil. They Scotland especially likes the wind farms up there. They use those as part of their look how much wind we're generating and that, and it's quite significant. Anyway, a motion will go before the councillors next week to investigate alternative forms of governance for Orkney, and this could potentially lead them to vote to break away from Scotland and the United Kingdom, much like Scottish independence supporters would like to do. But this is absolutely brilliant, because I want to see what Humza Yousaf responds. I want to see what Humza Yousaf's response is. It's going to be, he'll be eating his own face, won't he? He'll be sitting there going, "Oh no, what do we do? What do we do? Do we let them go? Do we stand on the principle of self-determination that we keep banging that drum for? Or do we say, no, you can't go, you've got to stay part of Scotland?" He is absolutely stuck, isn't he? Anyway, islanders have been looking at examples of this from across the world, including the Crown dependencies like the Channel Islands and the overseas territories like the Falkland Islands. These are arm's length regions of the UK, but so are self-governed and relying on Britain for defence and foreign affairs. The Council of Stockholm even suggested they could be like the Faroe Islands, which is a self-governing territory of Denmark, but also a country in its own right. They're recognised by UEFA and have their own national football team, although to be fair, it's not a very good one. He told BBC Radio Scotland that islanders are struggling at the moment and they feel that they are not getting enough support from the mainland. He said, "We are really struggling at the moment. We have to replace the whole ferry fleet, which is older than the Calmac fleet." He said, "We're denied the things that other areas get, like the road equivalent tariff for fares, and the funding we get from the Scottish Government is significantly less per head than Shetland and the Western Isles, and yet we have to run the same services. We can't go on as we are." And all of a sudden, bang, money will be found. Money will undoubtedly be found for the Orkneys. It's the only way that they are going to be allowed to continue as they are. Got to pump the money in. We've got to bring them back on board, because otherwise it's the biggest headache in the world for the SNP. Anyway, and in terms very familiar with Skexiteers, he has vowed to look at whether Orkney can become self-sustainable through North Sea oil and wind projects. Mr. Stocker said, "We know that we have contributed for the last 40 years through North Sea oil, and the dividend we get back isn't sufficient to keep us going. We've got a unique opportunity right at the heart of all the wind projects around our waters." Orkney Island Council previously voted in 2017 to look at whether the islands could have a greater autonomy, but did not back full independence. But they're looking at it again, and that is their absolute right. He added, "The council will decide whether it supports this motion, and from there we will take our time, because we don't want to do this emotionally. We want to look at all the practical implications, and then we'll evaluate the results. We're looking for the very best position for future generations and our place in the world." And in case, everyone knows where the Orkneys are anyway, but there we are, just off the top end, a lot nearer, of course, than Shetland. And I've never been to Shetland. I keep intending to go. One day I will make it. Anyway, Orkney was previously held under Norwegian and Danish control until it became part of Scotland in 1472. The islands were used as security for the wedding dowry of Margaret of Denmark, the future wife of King James III of Scotland. And there we go. That's how Scotland got them, through marriage. So it looks like there may well soon be a divorce. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Humza Yousaf, you need to run out now and start buying flowers. Otherwise, the wedding is called off. The papers will be served, and you will be bidding farewell to the Orkneys, the oil fields, the wind, and the people. And it will be humiliating, as well as ultimately massively damaging to the SNP. Well done, Orkneys. You've played a blinder. I am coming up. If ever the term "hoist with your own petard" was used, it was used here. Scotland's bid for independence has had its own bid for independence. They can't say yes. They can't say no. Their best bet is to say nothing at all and just make sure the Orkneys get a lot more money in future. It's the only way that this problem is going away. Humza Yousaf knows it, and the people of the Orkneys know it. So, you know, their community leaders, whoever their councillors are, the people of Orkneys need to buy them a round of drinks. just to make sure, because they've just played the best political manoeuvre ever. What can he do? Humza Yousaf must be sitting there today. Whatever hair he's got left, it's pulling it out. Have you noticed, by the way, he's starting to go really grey? Must be the stress of the job. Do you think he's looking tired? I think he needs to give up. But anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what you see in here on the channel, please hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment. Please share the video, especially with anyone in the Orkneys. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and never, ever be a hypocrite. Bye.